It is inescapable that apocalyptic movies would be trending during 2020, especially ones involving anything pathogenic.
It's airborne.
But there's still one that comes to mind more so that most people forgot about or never saw. The inciting scene of Perfect Sense consists of finding out that numerous individuals, spanning many geographical areas, have lost their sense of smell, yet have never come in contact with each other. The cause of the disease is never fully explored. In fact, it remains a mystery for the entire narrative. But the origin of it is not important anyway. It's about seeing the interpersonal relationships within the situation at large and how they react when shit really goes down. Such as when the precursor to the loss of taste occurs, there's a mass gorging of food or anything else that comes close to being edible within reach. It's a scene that made me want to put off my next meal. Though after the grub hoarding, people become self-aware, as if they were under some spell, which shows sometimes we don't have a grasp on the actions we do until we have the blessing of retrospect. We also see a mirroring to our own dysfunctional economy and the toll that small businesses are taking.
You're shutting down. Give me a fucking break. Everywhere is shutting down. The council wants to hire you and your staff to cook for the quarantined.
But the plot's main focus is Susan and Michael, starting when they first meet just before the end of the world begins. This is where their first senses disappear, and it becomes an unconventional bonding experience for them both. What we learn is that Michael is dealing with the guilt of leaving his fiancée in her hour of need while she was sick, and Susan holds shame for resenting her sister's children because of her own infertility. Eventually, these emotions are exercised even stronger inside brief fits of exaggerated emotional lead-ups to the passing of each sense, starting with grief for smell, then fear before taste, and anger only to lose hearing.
You are just passing time. It's not difficult to understand. It's just fucking and eating and fat and flour. Fat and fucking flour!
Even though the filmmaking techniques that are implemented to communicate each sensory perception loss are not showy, they are still effective because it puts us in the position of the characters so well that it makes us realize how much we take our sensories for granted. In the third act, it essentially becomes a silent film, when the world loses its ability to hear anyone and anything. The exclusion of the sound mix for the long periods of time is a brave choice unto itself. It does what A Quiet Place did for the theater-going experience, making the audience feel the deafening silence without any soundtrack to make you feel at ease. Only A Quiet Place popularized this by employing suspense and horror. Here, we are given an emotionally introspective story set to the backdrop to the end of the human race. The last 15 minutes and its coda are like a gorgeous piece of music. It crescendos with a foreboding yet bittersweet moment between the two leads, and we understand what's about to happen. It is both frightening and beautiful that the only sense they will have left is that of touch. And if, or when that goes, the inevitable is something we don't want to think about. You could assume that we would likely grow distant from each other if we began losing our sensory perceptions. But Perfect Sense shows that instead, in the end, the sensory loss brings people closer. That the last act of awareness and control we still have is to find the ones we care deepest for. If you like this video, please consider subscribing and donating so that more content can be made.